At 6:06. At 6:06, we'll call the meeting to order. Yep. It looks like we were, as Lance said, down around the L's.
I think we had done Lister education. We decided to combine it with the general education fund, but we didn't get to Lister expense.
Correct.
Extra education, were we gonna combine with education?
Yes. Yes.
Education. Oh, this is different than that.
Can I give it to you after and we can make copies of all the,
But we're just gonna combine this education
so
into education.
next one we'd be on to is electricity. My guess would be that we're gonna spend that last $97.46 if we haven't already.
We've already covered that one.
Did we up it to 2,500, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yep,
we did.
okay, perfect, yep, I even have that on a note. I got checks down to the next one.
We ended off with Lister
That's what we
education
went up.
and we were gonna combine it with the general education fund.
So we did talk, I have a question mark next to grant writing expense. When we were here the other night, we
I
were
have a
talking about,
question for Tom.
right, we want to scratch the ARPA
That's what.
line. And put the grant writing expense there, so it's seen daily
That's what we said.
or meetingly. So if we, meetingly, is that not a word?
And we want to see the total that's in that fund.
So that's.
He put that on the notes here,
That's going away.
grant writing, I show a balance as of 1/1/24 of $44,390, $49.79.
Right.
Year to date, we've spent $3,500.
So I like to see though is every month when we get the account balances, it shows what's in the account. So you've got zeros, and I understand why, I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you are, as it's not.
So, I
Because
mean-
it's in a general fund is we just. Yeah, it keeps it on a separate ledger, basically.
so my question would be.
Checking account, well,
We talked about doing the same thing we do with the repair fund. And voting in a amount. And keeping that grant writing expenses at a certain balance.
Right.
It was at 44,390 or 49. Do we want to make that a $45,000 account?
or keep it at a 40,000.
I would say.
Where are we at?
So we're at the
Right.
grant writing
Yeah.
expenses here. Which we didn't actually budget anything for because we
Okay.
moved, we had this monies that was moved.
Yeah,
So similar to what we do with the equipment repair fund.
mhm.
Every year we ask the voters to vote in the amount it takes to replenish it back
Back.
to.
No, I'm with you, yeah.
I think this year we talked about $50,000 because of the expenses of everything going up. But, so whatever it would be, voted up
keep
to
it
that
up.
point.
Yep.
So, my question was, did we want to bring the grant writing and keep it at a $45,000 account?
No,
Lance
I
just said
say we keep it at 40.
40?
I think that's more than adequate for a year.
Okay,
And next year we may decide if there's a large balance still left in it, then we may decide,
Leave it.
maybe 35 or
Is enough.
30,000.
so my only question, and it's not even really a question, my only thought would be if we ended up having a grant that required matching funds. And I know that's not what this, I know it's not what it's intended for.
Mhm.
But in an emergency situation. You would have that lump, I mean, 40,000 is plenty for that. But I'm saying you would have that, if you needed to match $20,000 or, say 10% on a $200,000 grant. And the only spot we had that money was in the grant writing fund.
Mhm.
You just have to be careful because we've had a couple people ask to match grants,
Right.
right? And if we go down that road or even think about going down that road in the future, we then reopen the doors. Why wouldn't?
I mean, at the
Right.
meeting before last, we denied that for the Conservation Committee, thank you.
Yeah.
So that would be a bit hypocritical.
Right. I'm not saying on a regular, I'm saying emergency situation. Could that be used for that?
What
Is
other
that,
options do we have in that kind of? I mean,
That's
so
what
that-
I'm saying.
We set it
Right.
aside specifically for grant writing and we did not even discuss grant matching.
Right.
We've run into that before, is what I'm asking.
We decided it would go better with grant writing because we
Yeah,
would expect
right.
it too fast with grant.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we're just discussing all the options. So you think 45 is enough there?
I think 40,000 is.
That's what I meant, sorry.
I'd actually, well, let's see what happens how much next year.
Yeah, I mean, we can adjust it next year if we need to.
I don't think we're gonna budget $40,000.
No, and if we do it at a match, not at a match,
At a writing.
at a grant writing expense,
You better have a hell of a lot.
yeah, that sounds to be brand new. Okay,
You mean like Fairfields?
This is.
Right. And I mean, that's, you know,
Great job over there.
Do they do?
it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
So back to Lance's portion, right, where he was saying that we were talking about rolling all the education into one fund.
yes,
Because you have the listers education, I think is where we kind of ended.
yes,
What was did we up the $1,000 in education?
yes, the 1,500, yep.
I kind of misplaced my carrier. I don't know what the heck I did with it.
And we established that heating fuel was gonna be plenty at $5,000. Sorry, the last check mark I had was on the
They
generator.
keep
Yeah,
heating
me
the
too.
same job.
Okay,
Is that what you said?
that's what, I don't know, you said we were down to listers expenses. I think what we had done is we had gone to education.
Yeah, you.
And then we jumped down and said, should we move this up to
Yeah,
there?
you could be correct.
Okay, so the last check mark I had was on the generator. I had a question mark on grant writing expenses. Health officer expenses at 250. We haven't spent any this year.
Yeah.
Years past, 250 has been enough.
Yeah.
So I think that one is good.
If I can go backwards, what did we decide on the generator?
The generator, we went back to, we left it at the 2,500.
I have a note that says we could trim it.
Well, we have
But
some
no
repairs.
explanation.
We have some repairs. this year.
Because we only spent 1,200 on it this year.
Yeah, they have to do some work on it though for the next period.
Right.
We're
Yeah,
liable for that.
He's correct. It is scheduled, next cycle around, it is scheduled for some work.
Additional work needs to be done on it. So it's probably good to leave it at 2,500.
Okay. Heating fuel, we had a fairly mild winter last year and only spent 2,300. We budgeted 5,000. I feel like that would be sufficient at this point.
To,
From what I've seen,
to budget 5,000.
To budget 5,000.
Okay, yeah,
to remain at 5,000 as the budget, yeah.
yeah.
From what I've seen, the fuel prices on diesel have been trending down
I'm hoping,
slowly.
there's a lot of things are gonna be trending down, but I'm hoping.
That
Yeah.
would be nice.
Don't know yet, but we'll see.
Internet, we budgeted 500, we spent 134. Or sorry, we budgeted 250. You know, I'm gonna need something to keep my line straight here.
That's why I just took a piece of paper.
Whoa,
Regarding the internet,
Yeah.
this line here, this says Comcast. Where is the video fee in this?
probably under phone.
Probably on the phone, yeah.
So the library is saving money by switching to Fidium.
Town garage, right? Yeah.
It could be under the road budget.
Okay,
Let me see if we
Well,
have,
let's see, because we need to keep that in mind.
I think it is. Jonathan.
yeah, I was just looking to see if it was looking real quick.
I don't see enough there.
And we're gonna probably have to factor that in somewhere.
So
else.
that was under.
So honestly, so the telephone is also on here,
Right.
which we budgeted $2,000.
Well, that might not be there because we just added that this year, but it
Right.
wouldn't have been there last year.
Right,
Right.
oh, that's true, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, so I think when Tom gets here, we just have to ask him where he's accounting for the Fidium bill, that's all.
Before we move away from internet,
Yes,
have we looked into the cost of switching Comcast to Fidium? Because the library just did that because it was saving them
Would have been money.
quite a bit of money.
I think we
Okay.
discussed this briefly, and Tammy, you said we barely pay anything for Comcast. I don't think
Because
Fidium's
it's
gonna beat that.
municipal. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, if you sign on as a municipal office, I don't know, but there's like.
Maybe if we ask Fidium if there is
That's
a different price for governmental municipality.
Right.
You know,
Might be worth asking, just so that we can say, yeah.
And then you check it, right?
Well, no,
We can talk to him and say, what would it be for
Right.
the town and see what they quote.
I'm gonna put star next to internet for when Tom gets in. We'll go back to it.
But I think at this point, 250 is sufficient.
For the Comcast,
Right,
absolutely.
yeah.
it's not gonna be for the Fidium.
I thought it was.
Well, that's for the road though.
Well,
The stadium was gonna be, what, about $80 a month?
I think it was $80 or $90 a month.
For now.
Yeah. I mean,
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think it's like $80,
okay,
$80 a month, something like 89.
so I mean,
I couldn't tell you, I just know that they switched because it was less. Like,
Because my Comcast is like.
It's scary, it's so much less than you sound.
Just
usually.
well, I mean,
You get to know.
it's obviously not 115 because we've spent $134 to the year, so I mean,
They've got, the library has, $1,700 budgeted for the internet.
But they're not gonna need that this year. They switched to Fidium and they're doing substantial.
Right.
savings.
that's up to them to budget that.
Right.
No, I'm
Just looking at-
somebody. They gave you an
Yeah, yeah,
They-
but they just switched over, so it wouldn't be reflected in that.
It was,
but it's a lot more than we're paying.
yeah,
Not when it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. So at this point, unless they're willing to give us a ridiculous deal, we will leave it at 250 and leave it where they are. Yeah.
Right.
Late fees, the $500. I think this is in there from when we were having some accounting issues and we were unsure if there was any unpaid or late arriving fees.
that was, yeah, you were right. This one we were having
So-
problems with
You
the,
wanna leave it or?
I think what we did is we left that in there as just a
Just,
cover.
yep.
So I think
I'll leave it at
I
five.
think 500 is sufficient.
I would say though, if we find ourselves in a situation where we need to cut, I would want to look at that.
Yes, I agree.
That's,
Yep.
I agree
Just if,
to the point where $500 and a $250,000.
we just don't know what we're gonna find. as we
Right,
go through.
right. We haven't upped much, which I should
No.
find some wood to knock on, but. Legal fees, at this point, we're good, but we do have a legal
Yeah, we're gonna have to expense real soon.
legal expense. I feel like the $10,000
Needs to
And
stay.
remember,
needs to stay.
it's for all
That is for all, yes, yep,
All organizations, so I would leave that.
Okay.
Education, we moved up.
yep, Lister education can be stricken from the thing because all education is going together. Correct.
Yep.
Right, Lister expenses, we budgeted 6, they have spent 2,700.
Yeah, but that was because they had a bunch of new listers this year, right?
No,
No,
Or is it because of the new?
yeah, they're prepping for the,
We've had put in a lot of hours for mapping. There's just a lot.
do they not? So you don't build a budget and present it to us? Why do I feel like that should?
that should be, that should be the case.
That
because
should be the key.
The other thing was the Lister expense was the conferences and such, right? That one.
Yeah.
And those would be in education.
But in the past, this past year's an exception. In the past, it's
Yeah,
been good.
it's never been that high.
No. No,
But next year's gonna be even worse, because it's gonna be worse. They're gonna be out checking homes.
They shouldn't be, it should be the company that we pay to do
remember
it.
the company asked them to accompany them.
Postal company. Yep,
Well, That
so
was
it's gonna
mentioned
cost
in
us.
the contract.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
yeah, yeah. They're gonna accompany them to a third of the location.
A third, oh, okay.
Well, if that's the case,
The case, and we're gonna put more money. in.
Well,
if that's the case, you would,
Let's look down here, we've got reappraisal expense at 3,000 and we haven't spent that. So
Yeah.
is there some overlap?
reappraisal expenses at 13,100, that's over budgeted, that wasn't even budgeted for.
Right, so. we're-
Oh, am I looking at the wrong? Oh, I am looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, I had to do that same thing.
So. I'm not sure what the Lister's expense, because it's going to be costly here.
Well, do we put it at 2,500?
I don't even think 2,500's in.
Right.
Right, well, that's a couple lines down.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
So I would say we need to. I forget what's the hourly?
It's $20.60 for Sue is hourly.
What's the highest? I don't wanna know the name of it, just tell me what the highest paid.
20.60.
All right. 20.60, how long did they say they think it's gonna take?
To do the work. So,
How many hours?
I don't know,
See,
right?
that's
now-
what
But you only have to accompany them to a third of them.
Third. According to-
How many properties are there? 900?
Well, 900 would be easy for Matt. because
So would it be 300?
So then you're going 300, how long do you spend, on an appraisal, how long do you spend at a place, do you think?
I think we need those answers, so maybe that
All right,
should
let's
come
come
from the
back.
list as well.
From them, I think
So
that-
I think, yeah, I think you're one of the listers. So what I would ask from you as a lister is an estimate of to how much you think hourly it's going to cost us to have you go to 1/3 of the properties in town, keeping in mind that they're probably not gonna have you go to ag
Right.
lots or maple places. They're gonna want you to go to
Single family or multi.
family homes, right?
Like how they're assessing, like what they're taking into account.
Well, right, but it's pretty easy to look at a field and be like, we're counting this as X number of dollars an acre because it's an ag field.
And when it's all stuff, I mean, no,
Yeah, I got stuck because my land was flat.
Yeah.
I got stuck because they said my land is flat, so that cost me more than
it's
someone
so
who hasn't really.
like, there's classes on just land grading. It's.
Scam, I'm sorry.
But you get what, consistency is king.
Yeah, so
Guess what we need from them is how many hours are they estimating that they're gonna?
That's what we
pay to
need.
do,
And
I'm saying from the company
From the
themselves.
company.
to a third, and
Yeah.
that'll tell you what you're looking
Yeah.
at. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the play, Kathy. Ask how many hours they think it's gonna take to do the assessment.
Yeah.
Then cut it by a third and times it by the highest rate
Yeah.
employee out of the listers, and that will give us the number we
We'd be
need.
looking at $20 for this, you know,
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? We don't-
I bet we
Yeah.
don't.
Right.
But I'm telling you,
I bet we don't.
but then it just sits in the
No,
fund,
I'm
it's
just saying,
fine.
that's a lot.
No, I'm saying that if you start telling the taxpayers it's gonna
Oh,
cost them,
yeah.
it's gonna cost us $20,000
Right,
to
in payroll.
to put our people in the field next to the people that are doing the job,
Which is costing us 90.
which is costing us 90,000. I would not go over that. I would not approve of that at
I
all.
agree, because now it's on top of what
Right.
you're contracting.
Right.
And that's not what we.
So now our $90,000 bills become
Right.
$110,000. We're right.
So
We
that's
don't,
why,
we don't have the manpower and we don't have the funding.
Mondays, Fridays. And so that would be, I would think that would be that would be the time that we would have to be able to go with them.
Right.
You know, it's not like we
That's
have
fine.
5 days a
still need to
week
know
that
how
we
many
can
weeks.
just pick up and go.
Well, they're gonna be here from,
Be almost a year, right?
they're not gonna be here a year.
Times 8, the 9 times 20.
They're not gonna be here a full year.
No, he's doing their.
10,000.
So if that's right, if they're doing already 8 hours a week,
Yeah.
each or total,
Total.
Yeah,
each,
Oh, I thought you said
times 3.
one or the other.
so,
That's 18,000.
Yeah, you're talking, no, times 3, that's
Yeah, times
27,000.
$27,000. That's just for you guys to be here for the year. You're saying it's $27,000
It's 8 hours a week.
each of you.
Each of us, because we're here together.
Where's the,
Mondays from 1 to 5.
where's the payroll come out of? It's not here.
It can't be that long because it's only 2,200.
I'm just saying.
No one's.
I'm just, I'm asking where the payroll comes out of, because it's not listed in the listers.
Well, payroll was its own, but it wasn't broke out individually.
The reason, what you're describing, Tammy, when we do the math, right? As you're saying, you're spending 27 hours a week,
Payroll expenses and
times
wages,
52 weeks a year,
$94,000.
times $20 an hour, because we're just taking the highest rated person to be safe. That's $28,880. So round it down, because you know, those lower, so $28,000 a year.
Coming out of this payroll expenses here.
Well,
Payroll, wages,
we can
expenses.
drop the number,
Yeah.
drop the hourly down.
The
because we know that,
94,000.
Sue will not be visiting. And,
So that's when they get the other number. So if you just do, let's do the average. 20.
So what is, I guess my question is, what's the lister expense?
sorry,
What's the lister's expense? That's what we need to actually figure out.
Right.
It
'Cause
couldn't be
it's not payroll.
I don't think it's payroll.
what I'm asking is where is that
I
line?
think
The
it's
payroll
under payroll
is-
wages maybe. That's what I'm
Here.
thinking. but I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure.
And 94,000.
All right,
It's like 1850 is the average rate. 1850.
yeah, but that's for everybody.
Right.
Is it
Everybody
big
that works in
expenses
this
like
building.
mailing and stuff like that?
Yes, that would make more
That would make
sense.
more sense.
The expense for. The.
I guess I would ask that the listers come up with where what these expenses are. And an estimate, I guess you guys, with what's coming around the bend, we're gonna need you to budget
Give us a
for
budget.
your lister positions.
Give us a.
That's
budget.
really the only
So-
way.
Yeah, no,
Who have the knowledge of what you're,
Right now, your payroll is approximately $28,000, give or take,
A year.
a year. How much more are you gonna need to cover that? And that's the question we're asking.
and then what expenses beyond the payroll?
That-
Obviously, mileage will be increased as well.
Yeah, mileage, you know, was. What they spent $412, we allotted 220, so, and we know it's gonna increase. So maybe we put in,
So that would be another.
well, it all depends. If they drove back and forth to Burlington a handful of
Right.
times, it's different than driving.
the long,
Yeah.
2 miles.
the long rides were reimbursed for the trainings and all, so this is in the town. Unless Tom didn't put the funds back in on the reimbursement,
That would be my guess.
so maybe we should wait for Tom. That's a wait, the listers are also a wait for Tom.
Go on.
Doing 63 cents a mile, is that where we're at?
I think it was 63 or 65, let me look
Okay.
at 67, what's the new one?
I think, yeah.
65, I'm sure I just filled out a
Yeah,
report for
yeah.
work and it was
I
65.
know it used to be 56, but that was a few years ago.
Sorry.
67 cents per mile according
Is
to
it
the
67?
IRS. Yep, 67, I know it's just.
Screwed out 2 cents.
Federal government.
So that means they drove 615 miles this year.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
that's possible. going on.
That's possible.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, going to the trainings and stuff, that makes sense.
Tom would be reimbursed.
That should have been numbered.
615 miles in the town of Bakersfield,
Is a lot.
I thought it was a lot.
Right, so one.
I put out a significant fraction of that doing FEMA stuff.
Right, how many times did you go back and forth though?
A lot.
A
You're
lot.
not on
Yeah.
the listed mileage.
That's enough.
No, but I'm just saying, it's very easy to rack it up.
So a trip to Burlington,
Right.
because if they
And then
get
it's-
there 3 days a week, is 106 miles from Bakersfield.
Yep.
So, you know, if you go down and back, that's 106. If you went
Yeah.
2 or 3 days, you got 300 miles just there going to
Yeah.
Burlington in 3 days in a year.
Right.
Tammy went much further than Burlington. Where did you go? What do I think you went?
Fairly, yeah. That's down.
Fairly and then twice. a month.
Also Lake Maury.
No, so it could all be wrapped up, Josh, you're absolutely right, it could all be wrapped up, we just gotta ask Tom if he reimbursed.
Well, I think it's a question to them, like how many houses did you visit in town? This year. Ballpark,
Only 900 houses here.
okay, so if they went to 25,
Even
if you go from one end of town to the other, you're talking 5 miles.
Right.
25 times 5 is 150,
I'll do round trip,
okay, it's 300.
300 mile.
times 67 cents a mile.
Right, well, still, I got them down to $615
I totally
or
agree.
615 miles.
Totally agree, and they shouldn't be charging mileage to come to work.
right?
right? So
No.
there shouldn't be a travel
It
mileage to
should be
the
from
office.
here.
It's
to
from
where you're
here
going and
to a
back.
site, from a site back to here.
Well, that assumes they're coming here first. What if they
Yeah.
go straight to the site?
Right.
That,
That's true.
Do they have to subtract from there?
No.
I'm just picking on him about it.
You rattle the cage for it.
Why are you making the meeting longer just for the sake of making the meeting?
No, we're shutting it down late. It's on
Here in a minute.
That's to give it. It's part
It's
of their-
stuck on the listers
doing
all
this
night,
budget
forget
for us
them, they gotta
anyway,
come
why
up
not
with
have
a
them
budget and present
budget?
it.
Right.
That's what it is, Tammy, go back to the listers, make a
Yeah.
budget, come back and present
I
it.
think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, knowing that education is already covered.
Right,
Yeah, remove education from your budget.
all right.
Now, we also have to factor in though. No, this is
We
something
do or they do?
we do,
Okay,
that we only paid a portion of that $90,000.
correct, which is down a little bit further.
Yeah,
In the reappraisal expense,
Yeah.
right.
We paid
and we need our contract. Tammy, do you know where our contract is? Cause our contract will say exactly how much we need to
Say that.
budget this.
We're starting when again?
May,
May.
May.
They were May, they were gonna be done in July.
So while she's looking at that,
We paid a lot.
yeah, while she's looking at that,
$77,000.
We had it,
membership dues are at $3,000. We apparently have paid 0 membership dues, which find hard to believe.
You're looking at the wrong line. We paid $2,861 in membership dues.
You must have a new one.
let's have a different copy. 'cause
Mine
Mine
says
says
zero.
3.
He gave us the other night. He just gave us one last night.
Yeah, it's not the one I've got on my notes on.
We didn't get the VLCT bill yet, page 2.
Okay,
We paid $2,861.
Great.
$39.
the whole point of this was to not have to flip 30 different pages here.
we didn't get that.
Fortunately, I guess in that one instance, fortunately, I can't find my whole page, so I'm working on the
And
latest
well, and
numbers.
the worst part is this one's completely different than what he gave us before.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's
way
driving me nuts already.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at, yeah.
It's listed education expenses and mileage and reappraisals way up here. And then membership dues, 2861. So I'm assuming that's what that was for
Yeah,
to begin with.
yeah, the LCT side,
Yeah.
let's leave it at 3,000.
You don't think it'll go up $150?
I mean, if we're under by $11, I think that's pretty good.
Leave it at 3.
I would leave it. at
Okay,
three.
all right.
I mean, I don't think, I'm talking out of turn, and I don't think we've gotten anything that says they plan. to-
Mileage here, I am going off the old one, John, so if it's not lining up with what you got.
Yeah. 93.
Mileage, we got 93.80 out of a $500.
What's
thing.
that mileage for us?
That would be for, I think,
Zoning board?
no, I think it would, I think it's for when like Kathy goes to trainings and stuff like that. It's in-house stuff. It's not the listers, it's not the zoning.
Zoning doesn't have a mileage here. They have an expense, but they don't have a line for mileage.
Well, I know he gets mileage,
Yes, he does.
but it would definitely be over $93.80. It probably goes through the payroll.
We may want to just lump that into this.
Yeah.
I don't know, you want to keep it 500 or drop it down to 250?
I think, I don't know why we would have it at 500 if it hadn't been spent to that point before.
Right.
That would be my question.
In 2020, I got some money out of that, I believe,
Right,
but that was, you know,
Which
that's.
one of you guys on that mileage
yeah,
for 500?
Yeah.
yep.
I think we just leave it at 5. and if we have-
I
did not, I'm wrong, Josh, I did not, because there's a mileage line out of road.
Yeah, you would have come out of roads
Yeah.
on most of your stuff. Looking at this,
Is there a reason why we separate out all the mileage?
no,
No, I agree.
Why don't we just have one line item for mileage?
Under payroll?
So we got Lister,
Listers did $412 worth of mileage.
so if you just take those two, there's $1,000.
That's $1,000. Yeah. But we think
So-
something's wrong with the listers.
They know there's something wrong with the list.
we know the Listers.
She didn't hear me.
Said the listers are great.
I'm on record. So
So-
John goes, we think there's something wrong with the listers. I said, no, we know there's something wrong
We're
with
gonna
it.
combine the mileage for the Listers and
And
the general mileage and make it
750.
thousand,
We're taking away the list.
yeah, 750 would work.
Make it 750, so we just cross out lister mileage. So you don't have to figure that one in your budget, okay?
What are we making it?
And we're making
750.
it $750.
Yeah,
Because we think the mileage was broken. Before.
Yeah, there's something.
Did we find the reappraisal document? Is that? what-
We did, it's right here.
Question in there?
But we need to.
What our
clarify.
payment was gonna need to be.
Well, I think if they're done by June, they're July, the bill's due and, you know.
We already paid the upfront of 13,000.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what the money was borrowed for.
Yeah.
And I thought
You want me to read the
second
contract?
payment
No,
on
that's
that-
fine, I wrote it.
No, I mean, it's.
Oh, that contract,
Their
I'm sorry.
contract.
It was borrowed by the listers. And it was,
Oh, that's right, the pictures. That's the picture stuff that they.
oh, yeah, you're right.
The
No,
lister,
you are absolutely 100%
the
correct.
lister reappraisal expenses,
Yeah.
that is for. The select board proposal is as following, original bid of $87,400. 15% down at signing, $13,110.
Right,
20% to be paid at the completion of state acceptance of said reappraisal in the fall of 2026 of $17,480.
So it's monthly payment, 473,417.
Yeah, look at that. So a $56,810 balance divided by 12 months is $4,734.17 monthly payment.
How many of these months are in this fiscal
yeah,
year?
that's what I'm wondering, yeah.
Remember, we're gonna have to also take it through the next March. We're gonna have to fund it through March,
Right, through March, actually, yeah.
because we won't have the, you know, we're gonna be dipping into
January,
that. then.
February.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever got a signed contract back from them.
yeah, we did. We,
Because this is the email that we sent them. That's the one I signed. They didn't sign.
Back.
The one I sent you, there's,
If we just said
district
25,
advisor.
or take half of that.
Okay, yeah, he did send that one.
You say that, so we budget.
Yeah, I don't know where, so
so that. Brings up another issue, we have to make a payment on the mapping. Which was also 13,000 something.
Divided by
when do we owe the
12 months.
17?
But that was for 3
When was
years.
That,
The remainder is due
so what is the end on this contract?
June.
Terry, quick question. The loan for the
26.
mapping was a 3-year term, correct?
June 2024 to
so
June.
that-
So then you'd have July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, you're gonna have 8 more months.
But you also have another voting period
That's
in
what I'm
there.
saying, now that 56,000, you're gonna pay 8 months of that. That makes
All right,
sense.
so the, oops. That's $4,734.17.
17 cents. Yes,
Yeah.
but when does that start is the question.
Starts when they start.
Right?
Right, let's say,
I
oh,
mean, July, I'm sorry, July.
Well, no,
Because we're paying to June. And then we have to pay at the end of June that 20%,
okay,
that's 17,000.
right. the
So then would
includes-
we have to pay in July or would we have to pay in August, that first payment?
Just start in July and make it safe.
So that's 8 months then, right?
Eight times,
July,
okay,
August,
so.
September,
4
October,
times
December.
8. We're talking
Oh, we're good.
$37,873.34.
How much?
37,873.34.
So,
Add that to the 17,480.
And add that to the 4,400 for the mapping.
We'll do that in a moment.
So
Yeah,
then-
I don't-
so the mapping annual updates look like it's 685 and 350.
I can't. So that's 55 something that we would have to budget. That's
So
on
we're
there.
talking about mapping.
You're looking at $55,353.34 rounded up.
A lot of numbers flying around.
There are too
Two
many.
different
That is
discussions.
just for reappraisal
Yeah.
Okay,
in 2026, the
Yep.
monthly payments and the 20%.
Right.
Now, mapping, let's talk about mapping. What's this with mapping?
Because the town took out a 13,000.
We do have some in the reappraisal fund.
All right, well, let's go to mapping real quick.
Yeah.
Mapping,
That-
we'll jump back to the reappraisal fund in a second.
So we have 3 years to pay back.
13,000 something, I don't remember exactly.
And that was taken, the loan was taken from the
Trustees.
trustees. Okay.
Oh, 14,135.
14,135,
Divided
okay.
by 3 years, that's $4,711.67 a
And
year.
that's immediately.
So can we, sorry, can we add a? Can we add a line item for the mapping? Because I don't want the line, I don't want the mapping to get tied into the reimbursement expenses. Yes.
4750 covers it. With a couple dollars extra.
4750, is that what you're calling?
Yeah,
For mapping, 4750.
yeah.
And I'm sorry,
So now, Tammy.
I looked at this until I was cross-eyed here.
Because we're draining it.
Can you see? If you can see a payment schedule in that? I didn't, but
Because we should just take,
we have a payment schedule that we sent them. This is from. They agreed to it.
Yes.
So we need this much.
so the
We
thing
need that
is
much
that.
per month. Yes, we need
state
this
gives us
much
so much
per
money.
12 months.
We got money coming in,
Okay.
so we just need to make up that difference.
We used to pay the listers out of thinking that's what it was for. It's not. And we need to make up the difference. So whatever we have, we're gonna take off that $55,353.34.
Budgeting,
That'll-
rounded to 56 for budgeting, right?
It was 56,810 is the actual number.
Or,
The 12 months for payments.
12 months.
oh, do you just wanna call it the 74,280 and?
No, because we can ask,
So we did 8 months.
so what we can do. So what I would ask for. 20%.
We're holding back $17,000 until we approve the
Right.
project is done, right? So,
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
okay,
So, but that 17, then, but we also have the payments. When did the payments start? Like,
And
So
we did
there's-
award-
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yes, so. We have 12 months of 12 months of payments
Right,
at 47,34.17,
right.
so.
which comes to a total of 56,810. Okay,
Right, that's for the entire 12 payments.
correct.
What you're holding out.
And no, not out of that.
That's not.
No,
including the 17.
that includes, that is everything we're paying out.
Welcome.
So basically, if I remember correctly, we only need 3 months of that for this fiscal year. But we'll still be paying January, February and March before we approve the budget, and we're not getting money until the following October.
Yeah.
So we need to have most of this.
So you need
Yeah.
but then
We
basically.
need to have it all.
And actually,
Right.
that's what we talked about.
We
Right,
need to have
Now
all
it's
the
come
money.
back to me.
yes,
So that's
so,
$1,290.
no,
No, it's.
no,
56,000.
56,810.
Now that's 17,000.
We don't need that in this round.
Right.
We need that next March. Because the payment isn't due until fall of 2026.
Right, right.
We'll have tax
Yeah.
money.
See, no,
No,
That's,
you don't have your-
back until we approve the project and we.
this is what they accepted, John. This is our proposal to them as a payment schedule,
Would you come up with, John, that we'd have to budget?
56,810.
56,810.
And
See what's in that fund.
Nikki's right, we need to fund all of that because we're not gonna get any more monies after
No, right.
this fall. so-
Right.
And
See,
And we need to start paying in October.
It's great.
See what we mean, John?
Yeah.
Actually, you don't actually need the entire 5610. You could probably get by with
I think.
40,000 and be okay, but
Why would we do that?
I know, well, it depends on what we need out of that,
Right.
or how much is in that.
We're starting in October, 1, 2, 3.
Right, but it all depends on how much is in our reappraisal fund now.
That's what we would, when Tom's bring it up, we can ask him that question. He's like, man, I just want.
Sorry, I had a reminder set, I don't put the right time in for the reminder.
That one goes there. Sorry, I'm trying not to.
I understand, and then of course it's foggy and.
Oh, it's
all.
So that answers the question you were looking for here.
Yes, it does.
How much do we have in the town reappraisal?
And that
fund?
is in the contract that they sent back, they did agree to it, so I don't think you have the right
Way to the back.
So in that block of money, we started the year with a reappraisal, I'm sorry. I was thinking about-
Reappraisal, right?
Reappraisal.
Yeah, we're not, I gotta say, we're not worried about what we started with, just what do we got now?
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what we have to budget.
Have and had and how we got there. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We may mumble while you're looking for that.
I looked.
Incoherently, I might
Budget
add.
in the 56 and some of them don't, we just got that to you. So
Well,
next year, you know, that-
Yeah, but it depends if we,
26,000 to start the year, and I don't think we spent any money on reappraisal or anything, right?
No.
Not yet.
$26,179 and change.
so theoretically, we could ask for 30,
Right,
well, say 32,
Yeah.
that would,
Give us the 56.
the 56 that we need to get through to the end of next year.
Yep.
Or till the next March, when we can ask for the next 20,000 to.
When does that money come in from the state?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't
Yeah,
either.
so.
I can find out, I mean, some things that I don't have to. explain.
Kids are pushing $300 in case something's. not
Right.
done.
I mean, yeah, I said 32. Right, so we're gonna have to ask for another, because we're not gonna want to deplete that.
Right.
So I think,
two.
yeah, I think the plan was,
Did you say?
the reappraisal fund was to just kind of like we do with the equipment repair fund. Or not the equipment repair, the bridge and paving grant. Put 10,000 in every year,
right.
so that we
I
can,
think that 13,110 comes from the state.
no, that was the original payment out of that.
That was our,
That was one
So
of the-
I'm not sure, I wanna make sure that that account shows that payment of 31,
That's what I was-
13 one.
yeah,
Okay.
And we're not talking a balance of
Yep.
$13,000.
right,
Right.
that makes sense, Joe.
You know what I'm saying? I want
Yeah.
to double check that when he
Yeah.
comes back. I'm gonna close this so I don't
Yes.
move papers and,
Okay, what did you say the balance?
Yes, this is gonna go back in here.
Reappraisal on the.
26,179, it says.
can you check and see when the listers on the reappraisal expense spent $13,110?
That would be the town budget, right? Is that town report?
That is in the town report. But,
Just put in file.
okay, I just wanna know where those funds actually came from.
The 13,000.
That's what the expense was?
Yes.
Needs another hole, so it lets the water flow. It's gonna suck in half one. Wait a second.
That's impressive.
Oh,
I think you better be drilling another hole that way.
Great cow. Well, it's meant to hold the ice, but holy, there's no backhoe, so like I stand there and I shake at it like I'm eating some kind of popcorn or something.
And you're looking at this year's expenses, what you're getting that number?
Yes, so it's a lister reappraisal expense.
Yeah, on the report, it says in the column of January to November 24.
So
So we're just wondering when this
now
was
I can
paid,
pull down to that number and see what that's.
when it was paid and where it came from.
right, what bucket of money it came out.
Right. So everybody remember all the numbers, because I've said so many, now I've gone crazy.
Wasn't it last year last year we asked for, I think, 10,000 in that fund, didn't we? Or more?
Yes,
Thought so,
yeah,
Bump it up.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be in the book.
Yeah, I got the book here.
You got the
We
book?
need to
Okay.
catch him up
Yeah.
to date on the.
No, I can just give him my notes afterwards, but
Scribble.
Mac just asked me a question if we were on roads yet. I was like,
So you don't know yet?
pay 10,000 for reappraisal fund,
How much?
10,000.
Yeah.
fine.
We
can get the- Should have done one of them instead, maybe.
We got it, we need it anymore.
So the Lister reappraisal expense went to Tyler Technologies.
Correct.
Okay, so that wasn't your question.
No, where did it come from?
Where did the-
Well, they paid out of the town fund. Now up in the income, there's the. You know, the Lister's income, there was these two payments that came in from the state, which might answer your other question,
It would?
where. Do you see the Lister's income, under the income? There's like 6,200 came in February, 6,222, do you have that breakout?
Maybe we don't have it broke down like that.
No,
We got listers,
We've got a-
equalization,
You got the total,
70.
you just had a total.
We've got the total of 69.54.
Okay, well, that's two Vermont payments.
Okay,
One was for 6,222 that came in February, that was the bigger one.
and then a 7.
28. And it says in the memo here that was on their little notes that explain sometimes what it is. FY 24 reappraisal payment, so that's.
Fiscal
probably-
year,
Yeah.
24,
That was
perfect.
one of your other questions I didn't think I had an answer to. The other one was $732.
Right,
There was an equalization payment for 24, which I don't know what that means, but you probably
That just
do.
means that they underpaid us.
Okay.
They brought us up to what
Also
they,
came in,
Okay,
and
so-
also in the total.
so we're looking at about
7,000.
Yeah, about 7, well, let's go 6,500 so we don't overcommit ourselves.
Yep,
So we have
we
a
can
60,
take off that.
yep, so our total number that we were asking for at the beginning was, if somebody could help me,
wait a minute.
58,000.
15,000, that's the question.
Right, and we'll get there in just a second.
56,810, I thought you said,
56,810.
Right.
Okay,
minus six, just
Now,
6,500.
Tom,
Yes,
that $13,110. That was paid out of the general fund,
put it out of the general fund.
not paid out of the listers.
Well,
Expenses.
Listers are in the general fund, aren't there? There isn't a listers account or anything. right?
Okay.
There's a line item.
So it wasn't paid out of the reappraisal fund.
So it was not, well, I mean, it's all the same pot of money, and forgive me, I'm probably not totally on the ball with this, but it wasn't taken off that first total I gave you. I guess that would probably be in there, or should be in there to net it out.
It should.
You're looking at.
Yeah,
So
it should.
so the plus minuses I have, but I didn't have them
Uh-huh.
in that spreadsheet for you to see.
So what,
So we've got,
69.
26,000, what was it,
It
178?
was 26,179 is what Tom said,
Okay,
and minus 13,110 gives you a remainder of $13,069. I call it 13,000.
Plus the 69.54 if you wanna add that back, that was the income.
Plus,
that was,
is the 20,
the town gets money from the state for the reappraisal every year, okay? That money should have been set aside in a separate account for the reappraisal, but in the past, the town has taken money from that fund to make the Lister payments, payroll, et cetera, okay? So technically, we should have had that money in that fund.
right,
So we spent it. I won't say incorrectly, but imprudently. That money needed to be reimbursed and it needed to come out of the general fund, so we
is
cannot,
that why we did it that way?
that's why we did it that way, so we cannot. List that as a Lister expense.
Okay, so we are going to maintain the reappraisal.
This is what,
That money's gone, we can't
you know,
put
if
it
you're
back.
ahead for some of these.
Right, so what I'm saying is we're gonna maintain an appraisal, reappraisal fund
Fill in
amount
what's on your profit and
of
loss.
26,179.
Hey, this one's.
We're going to say that this was paid out of our
This
general
is
fund,
stuff that's
yes,
different, but
and
you've already seen that.
that was repayment from mispayments in years past.
Correct.
Does everybody follow that?
Yes, so.
Does that make sense? That would be 2 years. Does that make sense to you, John?
for
So what,
for the 10, for 20,000.
Yeah.
for this 13,110, that was paid out of the general fund.
Yeah,
We're gonna assume that as 2 years of state payments that were wrongly used,
Right, that were we.
and that has been taken out of the general fund,
Yeah,
leaving us a total of 26,179 in the reappraisal fund.
okay,
So we're not gonna subtract that from that.
so then if you.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Does, it's-
Okay.
So basically, we've got to come up with $30,000.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the confusion is.
so
26.
strike that. We have 26,179.
Yeah, this is 13,110.
32,000, we're back. to
32, yeah, $32,000. If we ask for $32,000 in the reappraisal fund
That will
this
bring us
year,
Where we need to be.
that will bring us up over, that'll bring us to 58,179
That'll make, that way we can make monthly payments starting in October.
through the end of the contract.
Through the end of the contract, which will
Next-
take us until next October, when $17,000 is due.
Right.
What do you have in there right now?
But that $17,000.
26,179.
2020,
2026.
2026 budget.
So Tammy, since I know you're taking notes over there. Next year, when we're budgeting. Okay. We need to budget the 17,000,
I just want to make sure. I understood.
where the hell did that folder go?
The numbers good.
The 17,000. Give me a second.
17,480.
On this one, okay, I'm sorry, this was my,
14,480.
okay, so the 17,480 needs to be budgeted for
2020.
plus $10,000 to
Rebuild the. fund.
rebuild
Right.
the fund. So next year, when we're budgeting for the reappraisal fund, we need to ask for $27,480.
So that's a.
You all heard me tell her that.
Yeah.
Next year, when we're confused, we can just look at our minutes and be like, oh, yeah.
Rebuild the fund.
To rebuild the fund.
Josh, are we going to ask for an additional 10,000 to put to the fund this year, or are we just going to let it ride?
I think we're gonna let it ride because that would be us asking for $42,000.
Right.
And I just feel like that's too much.
Yep.
After this year, next year we'll maintain the 27,000, the
Right.
following year. If we drop it down to 15, we're still cutting the budget by $10,000.
Yeah, and keep in mind, if the state is then giving us the payments, if they still give us the payments.
Right.
Right.
Right, so spending it's gotta be into it.
Right. So I mean,
Be in a reappraisal fund
That's not
specific.
bad.
so we're gonna have the 26
Right.
1,179 plus the 6,500 from the state plus the 32,000 we're asking for from the taxpayers.
That'll give us a cushion.
9, 7, 6, 14.
That'll give us a cushion, 8 grand. It'll give us almost
Yeah.
the 10 grand we need for
That is not right.
So for line items for lister reappraisal expense, we need to ask for $32,000.
Yep.
$32,000. That is going to hurt.
It didn't hurt, but we actually should have been paying the listers.
Without a
We did
doubt.
this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. You didn't know. And now we do, so we're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, well, let me know how that works when you go to the taxpayers and say, we didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm a taxpayer.
That's what I'm saying.
Planning for.
Yeah.
We should have been planning for it,
Right.
but we would have spent that money from somewhere else.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So it's not
In-
like we
in the
just
general
spent
fund. In the
money,
general
it's just,
Right.
right.
we took it out of the wrong.
All right, miscellaneous, we,
Why do we have a miscellaneous? I'm.
miscellaneous items.
The thing that don't fit anywhere else.
Yeah. So we balance of $1,000.
That's $1,000.
Let's cut that in half.
Yeah.
We can go down to 500. So what that is when Tom doesn't know where to put that,
Yeah, he puts it in this.
you know, he's like, how should I code this?
Yeah,
Good question, Tom.
yeah.
We can just,
I agree.
I think cutting it to 500 is sufficient.
And we spent no miscellaneous money,
Right.
so that's good.
That's good. Monument expenses, this is for, the monument expense is for adding names to the front.
Added one this year, so there should be some.
There should have been a monument expense.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would be coded. Do you have anything in there, Tom, from,
Something. There was one invoice for Joe Paradis, his name.
I'm trying to think,
that would have came from Proofs Monuments, maybe?
let me go see, I can probably find that.
Yep.
Because I do remember somebody's name being
Yep.
engraved,
Yep,
and I feel like it was either a
yeah.
donation or something, it was something different. So let me see if I can.
So, Todd, you're thinking.
Somebody else thought it was,
What's that?
Yeah.
It's the same, I mean, we haven't been adding a lot of names, but it
Right.
is about $300.
Yeah,
it all depends on the name length.
Yep,
Cemetery expenses where $175 got spent, cemetery expenses proofs.
Oh, that
Okay.
So
should,
it's on there,
That-
cemetery
that
expense.
should go to
It
mine.
was like kind of a duplication there of.
No, it should go to.
All right, well,
mine.
I'll just change that right here for the next
yeah.
time around.
And how much was it?
$175.
Okay.
Lettering for the Veterans Monument.
We can keep it at 250.
Yeah, if we run over 1 year.
We've got a miscellaneous.
Right, we got miscellaneous
Yeah.
money we can use.
Next report you see that'll come out in the morning.
Office expenses,
Which is not transferred. out.
Not town to library.
That's the, well, I don't know if that was even a question.
I think what is your office expenses, the thing we didn't spend.
Electronic payments and state names
You know, this,
that only ever get sent to our main account, but they really are intended for the road or the library. So the way that Vera said, the auditors told her, you know, I'm covering myself several times over there to do that, was to have not town in, and then there's a few that I haven't put in there where you see a matching entry, not town out, where it's just
Right.
kind of transfer, but the money that the state sends only comes to one.
So that's nothing for us on this.
No, it's an in and
So,
out, that whole
he's
section,
up
there's an
here.
expense for
They
this.
should charge a 10% fee for this.
Office expenses, we're not there. We haven't spent that yet, so we might as well leave that where it is.
I still say that, I had mentioned that Kathy should put together a budget for the office.
I know, we talked about that.
Seriously, we're guesstimating and that's fine, but I think it's for the person who's paying for all these things, she should put together a yearly budget.
No,
Based on what she spent though, which is here.
but that's fine. Then
That's
we'll
fine.
know,
Right.
because
Yeah.
then we have a realistic budget rather than a guess
And then we can see where it was.
where it was spent.
Because I don't know if the office expense includes the air conditioners, because if they do, then we're not
I
spending.
put that as a separate line item, I think, this year.
Oh, there it is, too, office
Right.
expenses.
Yeah.
it's on the next page.
That way, you won't be screaming about the office expense.
I mean, we can delete that line item because it's gonna be done, taken care of by the
Yeah,
grant.
right, it's sitting right there.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I can't delete the expense
Keep those.
No, we can delete the line item though.
from the budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we never exceeded the 6,000 even with that air conditioner
I mean, I
expense.
could push it into office expense if you want to, just
I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll just,
just so you, it really is just.
you can push that into office expenses and delete that line out.
Things,
Yep.
so it's.
No, that's.
No,
No.
that's,
Sorry.
if it's the heat pump, we're not worried about those right now. We're just talking about how we budgeted for this stuff.
Didn't we take the outside auditors last year?
Yes, but this is the $5,000 that we budgeted to build that account. Because remember, we paid them last year to do the outside audit,
Right.
and then we need to build an account.
Right.
So we need to build up an account.
I just didn't see expense on the other
So
side.
you-
So there's an audit fund, if that's your next question, it
Yeah.
started out at 5,000 beginning of the year. I
Yes.
think what you just said means that in my little spreadsheet, there'll be an additional 5,000 that is within the general fund, but is in
We added another
that
5.
section, so it's not
That's
10,000.
usually
Is
gonna
that-
be cheap.
Yes.
Correct.
So we will budget another $5,000 for that.
Okay.
Right.
That's all we needed there.
When's the next time we need an outside
I
audit?
know we're paying.
How-
It's every 5 years.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
Did you say that's-
yeah.
I would and just make it cleaner.
Yeah, it was a one-time purchase it was an office expense.
Are we still asking Kathy for a,
Yeah, it was just mine.
or are we keeping it at six?
Last questions.
I'd like a budget to balance off.
Like, I don't have too much information
I don't
and
know.
now he's put it back together as. one
So the
report.
question is, are we asking for a budgeted office expense?
Yeah, I think we should. I think it should be put together. We asked Mac for a road budget. We should ask
Okay.
Kathy for an
And-
office budget.
If it's above, then we can adjust, or we can discuss. And if it's below, then we can adjust accordingly.
Right.
Right.
So yes,
Rather than us just guessing, we don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
water bill, if Mac was here, I'm pretty sure he's gonna tell us that's not gonna change, so we'll leave that at 180.
Yeah.
Unemployment quarterly, so we had all three of those, or all four of those, sorry, VLCT unemployment quarterly, childcare tax, employer 401k, and employer
640 is probably in the wrong place. I mean, that looks like something that I wasn't sure of when it
640.
came in, because you have another budgeted item further down that's the whole property and casualty it all seems to be kind of
Lumped
lumped
together.
together, so that's 640.
I'm not sure where you're
Where's
talking,
the,
yeah,
where's the 640, Tom? I'm not seeing that.
It's payroll VLCT, the Vermont League of Cities. and
Oh, okay.
Towns.
We've got an old
So
one.
we pay like
Yeah.
a quarterly amount,
Right.
and there are a few things that, as you already said, that I'm
yes,
sure where it went.
I think
Either
as,
put it in a place
down
that was
to
new, but previously,
so as I was saying, those four are all covered under that $9,000 budgeted item.
Right.
If I completed my statement.
And we're still.
And we're still where we need to be. They can be broke out there. Just know that all four of those items are taken out of that $9,000.
Show me where the 9,000 is, would you?
Actually,
Payroll, employment, FICA, Medicare, 9,000.
we're over though,
Right
right?
there, thank you.
Yeah, we're over by 2,600, but
Right.
we've got. This was through September, so.
We're gonna be over even more.
No, we're under
We're
by
under.
2,600. We've only spent 70.8% of the account.
I'm looking at 7,700.
I'm saying we've got that much left.
I'm looking
I
at
used the wrong
7,800.
Yes, you've got a more current one than us. We're last
We're
month.
hoping you're more current one, because we're over, so.
We're not
can't-
over.
Yeah, we are.
We are,
Yeah.
we're over,
Okay,
and 9,000 isn't gonna cover it.
Okay,
We're at
Oh,
9,200, call it $9,400, something like that, $9,400. Right now,
okay.
on the latest report Tom gave.
Right.
it's through November from.
Yeah, what is it?
Throw in with-
And if we're paying that quarterly, does that mean we don't have another payment this year?
Correct.
So that 92 is
72.
is what we're at.
where we're at.
And we still got 2 weeks to go.
No, he said it's paid quarterly.
I'll pay
Come up on the
for
first
Yep.
quarter.
So,
We're leaving it at 9.
No, it's
well,
not.
no, that's not enough. So we could go up to what? We could
Not
go,
to be exact.
should we go up to 10? You're getting an exact.
So it's we spent this year $9,383.91, so.
I'd imagine that's all gonna go up a
That's,
percentage.
that's right, I would say probably 10.
10. 10 is not outrageous. It's a. All right,
Payroll, Tom, the listers are paid out of the payroll, the overall payroll, correct?
Yes. I mean, they go under though, well. Let me see if I qualify that, because they're under a different. Pound, but I think the listed expense isn't payroll, so, yes, you are correct.
All right, so that's the one that we're gonna have
That's
to,
why we're.
we
over
gotta wait
this
for the
year,
listers
right?
to get back so we can figure it
Right.
out.
Yep.
So that's
Um,
later.
we're not, yeah. Wages are not discussed.
Right,
Right.
we get all that yet.
Planning expenses, we budgeted 500. They spent 74.80.
Let's cut it in half.
Well,
The problem is though, is we have,
they've got the town plan coming,
yeah,
up. They're gonna need funds.
I think the 500 is sufficient.
Mhm.
Okay. No, I'd forgotten they're working on a town plan.
Yeah,
When is that, Tammy? Luckily, we have a planning commissioner here. True, technically, I'm so sorry. When's that start?
So we're going to apply for the grant in November, December. I think she
Next
was, and I think it starts next. The work we're going to do starts next June. It'll be the following March that we will adopt the new bylaws or adopt the new plan. I think it's January.
So what does that cost us? Well, we got the grant writer, so, but is there a fee for the grant?
No, they will,
No.
we're already paying for it.
it's part of their,
I just leave. it.
Northwest Planning Commission is donating their time on that. So we're getting the grant application and all the paperwork that goes with that for
Yeah.
free.
Exactly.
So we
We'll
start
be using the grant writer for that.
500. Okay,
I think we should leave it 5.
500 seems sufficient. The
Portalets,
portalets, 650 seems sufficient.
Yeah, and that's the 4th of July and the
Yeah.
park.
Correct.
Yes.
Postage, that should be more than that because we definitely had mailings.
It's
Yeah,
probably under office expense, because you reimbursed me for the postage when I had to buy a bunch of stamps for the
Okay,
property tax bills that went out, so I can double check, but
So we can,
I'm guessing that's probably an office expense, so I didn't see that there was a.
so we can leave that in there then.
Did you?
Well, we were
remember
over on the
anything?
office expenses with the ACs
Yeah.
and stuff, so.
Yeah, leave it at 750.
So I have another
You mean
question.
not be paid me or just in general?
How much was the, well, what was the mailings for the tax bills? I mean, we also had the election involved in here. That's why we went to 750, I think.
Well, but they ended up mailing everybody's.
I know.
Here's my question. If we're asking Kathy to do a budget, won't postage come out of that
You
budget?
know, that's a perfect point in the
Yeah.
chat. So I think it's Kathy's budget postage, figure it out.
So, well,
So one other little minor twist, most of the postage is all the pre-stamped envelopes that we order.
Right.
They're all the windowed envelopes.
So they come
it's-
out of the
It's
expense.
kind of office expense, the envelopes,
Yeah.
but they got the postage on them, so
Right.
the only time, I mean, I think they keep a few stamps on hand.
Just in
I
case.
have a few in my drawer, it was just that exception.
Postage
We
included.
didn't have pre-stamped envelopes this year,
Certified
so
letter or
I
something.
understand. we got something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kathy, make sure you, when you talk to Kathy tomorrow, we need the budget, we need the postage as a part of it. Property
So,
and casualty.
property casualty insurance, we
Want to break
budgeted,
that out of the price of the, sorry, like those because when they order the envelopes right now, it's like $180 for the envelopes. But $60 of that is postage, does that need to be?
Well, no.
I don't think it needs to be broken down.
We don't need it because we're having Kathy now make an office budget. It's just gonna be an office expense.
The additional,
Postage, the
we're
postage.
just gonna postage beyond the envelopes that are pre-stamped.
I think we should just remove the postage.
Yeah.
now.
Just remove it, right?
so the note I made was scratch it, roll into office expense.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought we
Yep.
came up with that a couple minutes ago, but, we budgeted for property and casualty, we budgeted 31,000, that was on a whim, we didn't have the actual number in front of us. That comes from our insurance company, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
and we were sufficient, it came in at 20,396. We could drop that down to 25,000, I feel, we
Yeah.
could comfortably.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anything.
Do you think, you deal with that more than I would?
The only problem you have with the property and casualty is because of all the stuff going on in Vermont, all the insurance is going up.
So we should leave it at,
Unless you just had a.
we can leave it at 30,
Workman's
so
comp.
we can leave it at
That's
31,
gonna drive it,
That's
so
gonna drive.
but
it
that's up in the
that's
other
up
one.
in the other one.
That's up in the other one.
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
We can leave it at 31, it's not gonna hurt anything, and then if we're under on the payroll stuff up there, it's all in the same budget, technically we can pay that without it actually affecting anything. We'll leave it at 31,000.
Again, I have a question there. So if I'm looking at this budget as a taxpayer,
Yep,
I'm gonna say, why are you leaving it at 31 when you only spent 20?
As a homeowner and a taxpayer, you should realize that your insurance just went up.
As long as we can answer that
Because-
question and
because
it's a,
all the insurance companies said, look at all the floods the last year and the year before.
we've had that conversation.
So we can absolutely cut it down, but.
So we should, I'm saying we just need to be, because I mean, that's
I
a
think,
big difference,
I
so.
think that's happened to every homeowner in Vermont.
Tom, can you look at that one, property and casualty, is that quarterly or is that?
It's a mishmash of like, there's workman's comp in there, there's
Yeah.
what's the PAC?
Yeah.
I know it.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you say workman's comp, we're gonna leave that at 31,000.
Just leave it.
We know we're gonna get a bump from the other day anyhow.
I don't know, it's the first,
Yeah,
first claim the town has ever made on that.
PA systems for 4th of July and town meeting.
Have a public announcement.
Yep, we budgeted 750, they charged us 500.
I would leave it.
I would feel like it could probably go up, I mean,
Right.
everything has gone up, but if we're not raising it, I guess we're good. QuickBooks,
This is a Tom. Tom paid for it on his credit card.
Leave it at 2,500, we had the new enterprise version, if you remember, is like a subscription, it covers all of them.
Right.
Which for the first year was around 1,800. The reason you're over budget this year is because you had the old subscription that was the first 4 months. And then we really bought into the new one that was June into June of next year, so I think it probably will come in under that because there's no usage fees or anything.
Yeah.
So I think, I wanna say it's around 2,200, but
okay,
you're in the ballpark.
we'll leave it at 25 then, thank you. Select board expenses,
Little bit.
We did go over, I don't,
On the select board expenses.
That's why.
yeah, can you pull that one out, please?
I'd love to.
All these meetings we're in?
No, because those are budgeted, the meeting expenses are budgeted into payroll.
Right.
What the heck did we spend $1,300?
That's what we just asked.
Some, the small ones are St. Albans Messenger, let me just give the biggest.
Oh, that's-
There's beach photo,
Yeah,
That should be under IT, yeah, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, so some of those and the war memorial, I'm not sure what that was.
Oh, that's,
So that
Should
should,
have come out of,
that should have been on the line.
I think as this, but we can go back to. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that comes out of-
if you want,
So,
and
yeah,
then we can see where.
the monuments should have, there's a monument expense separate.
it's for two.
And we were curious why there wasn't
Yep.
any deductions from that. Now we know why. And that was only,
But if you want to get
$175.
the details of this, if you
Mhm.
like, so you can just tell me, because I'm guessing it was on the warrant as select board expense.
Yeah.
we don't have a line item for advertising? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm not complaining. The messenger expense should have come out of advertising instead of being tacked on the select board expense. And we did do a lot of advertising this year.
I honestly think 500 should be fine.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yes, that is definitely not going
No
up.
one needs, it's just what's on the warrant is kind of where they get distributed the first time, so no problem, you
So
can give me the details.
streetlights, we
We
did,
actually we just signed for something for streetlights.
but that was out of the roads.
that's out of roads, yeah.
Yeah.
So- So this streetlight expense, I think, would be the one on the park.
Maybe. Yeah. I think you're
Um,
right.
Actually, Terry, are you there?
Hello.
She might not be able
Mister,
to.
Wake up.
Well,
I'm just curious, because
Terry, can you unmute yourself?
Yes,
just picking your brain, because you know, you were on this side of the table there not long ago. The streetlight expense, was that for the streetlight that's out on the pole on the park?
you shouldn't have a street light on the park.
Oh, we had one out there.
this, can I chime in for a
The
second?
only thing you have on the park is you got the
Oh, the
meter
outlet.
park that has the outlets,
Right,
but it wouldn't be a street light.
okay.
Do you have a street light that you're paying for down at Brigham Academy?
Oh, maybe.
The school's paying for that,
No,
isn't it?
Yeah, the one-
Go ahead. Tom thinks he has.
I walked in this
thank you,
week,
Terry.
You're welcome.
the street light was for, and I think you had asked about it maybe Monday night.
Yeah.
It's billed by the fire department, Bakersfield Fire Department, it's the electrical bill for the year that they count the number of poles. And so many poles go to the
Fire district.
road, so many poles are assigned to the town. And this is just two different bills that get sent to Bakersfield for the electricity, for.
So that's just
The
our
streetlights.
half of it.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
Okay.
so the road has another entry in there.
Yeah.
So,
Having said that, what was the total of the warrants?
1,800.
Was it total 18? So 2,000 still keeps us in the window.
yep, okay.
Okay, 2,200.
2,200 definitely does.
2247.
I think what we did there, because Mac just replaced a bulb.
Oh, that's
And it was
right.
$180.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a bulb, so I think that's why we knew that was coming in and it covered two bulbs if needed.
I won't admit that I used to.
Shoot them with a BB gun?
It was called
Me neither.
light bulb.
Oh,
Telephone, we budgeted 2,000 and I'll look over here just to make sure.
14,
We're still $600 roughly, so 2,000 should be enough. We probably have another bill coming in, right, for December's? Yep,
December, we didn't.
so 2,000.
So
Town park expenses, we budgeted 2,000. This would actually be, this has been taken over by the Conservation Committee. So I
take this right now.
feel like we could strike this and it would be budgeted by the Conservation Committee at this point.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Are we all in agreement there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lance has a thought.
no, I'm just trying to remember the conversation that we had with the Conservation Commission about what they had left over from the previous year.
That's great. Oh, I just had that.
Yes,
Tom
sir.
has an answer.
So what we discovered early on, and I think you discussed it here, was that last year, for some reason, the BCC was a budget item, whereas previously they've been direct tax that we voted in on the day of it. And the discussion this year was, do we let them keep what they didn't spend if it was a budgeted item, which it was for 2023, or let that go into their pile and then have them ask for more if they wanted more? And via Lance, and I'm guessing others, decided that they would have the total that was budgeted in 2023 added to their total, and they would get nothing for 2024.
It was because it wasn't a line item before.
Exactly. Last year.
Yeah, and now when it is a line item, if it's not spent, then it has to be voted off the floor at town meeting day, whether they have permission to use what's left over from the previous year. But the year before that, it was not voted off the floor. So we decided to let them keep it.
Right, and not have anything in the budget this year was my understanding, what we
Yes.
discussed.
Yes.
So they've got, I think, 4,000, I go find.
No, they don't have any money.
Well, they've got about 4,000 left over to carry them and.
Plus whatever they ask for this year in their
If they
budget,
ask for it.
if they ask for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the town expenses, $2,000 can be stricken then?
Yes.
Okay,
On underneath them.
yep,
The unemployment line, I think, is the payroll VLCT unemployment quarterly, which we budgeted 548 and we spent 640. So I think.
which means it went up more than we anticipated.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep, so should we bump that up 750?
Well, we actually, we accounted for that above in the payroll, the 4 or 5 block, we just put 10,000 towards it, if you remember.
Right, but we upped that by only a couple $100, remember, because it came in at like,
We bumped it up by
9,
$1,000. We
bumped
bumped
it-
it 9.
No,
right, we budgeted 9, but we're over 90, we're at $9,200.
Right.
We really,
That's right.
93 change.
yeah, so we really only bumped it up about
Yeah.
$675.
Yeah, so
Can we strike that line since it's already covered in?
I would
another area?
strike the unemployment in the other area and, you know, we can report it under payroll, VLCT unemployment,
It's already up in this.
So strike unemployment.
Okay,
Okay,
right?
and add,
Now, do we need to bump the 10,000 above
I'd go
to
10.5.
10.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
uh,
payroll, unemployment, Medicare, FICA.
It was the total, we rolled up those 4 categories.
So, Tom.
Yeah.
When we do that, the payroll, VLCT unemployment quarterly, the childcare tax, the employer 401k, and the employer FICA Medicare. All 4 of those, when they get reported for next year,
Yeah,
will all roll into that one budgeted line item. This year it's $9,000. Next year it's gonna be 10.5. So all those will come out of the same.
I can group those down.
Group those all together
So
and
you said,
those 4, those
the
4,
first 4.
Yep.
Not the payroll expenses.
not the expenses and wages, correct? That'll just help you with the reporting.
Yeah, no, that way you'll see it the way you want. Can I just pull your pencil for a second?
Yeah, take it. Scratching the unemployment line.
I think that'll just make it for
makes sense.
easier for everybody to
Yeah.
read. Like the VT League of Cities and Towns, now was that,
memberships.
that is our week,
That's a bill that's sent to us.
but
Yeah,
that's our,
we
that's our,
budgeted to that under membership,
Right.
membership dues, we've got
We're not
3,000.
the cities and towns.
right.
Skip the town hall water and all, wait a minute.
No,
Oh,
that's
the other line I don't have. That's funny, I don't have that line on this.
Oh,
Yeah, I get Watertown.
My next line is Watertown,
So-
Town Hall.
So Vermont League of Cities and Towns, that is, the problem is that one is actually already budgeted for on the other side. Under
Membership.
membership dues, we budgeted 3,000.
Okay.
It wasn't taken out, but on this one it is. We have membership dues, VLCT,
Oh, yeah, it's up.
so it's
we should be able to
in,
strike that one.
we should be able to strike this one.
Bottom one.
The,
Vermont League of Cities and
Yeah.
Towns, the one you don't have on that.
So-
Don't-
so the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, Tom,
So where are we again? No, I'm sorry.
Vermont League of Cities and Towns, VT League of Cities and Towns,
It's at the bottom.
2861.
You have that at the bottom?
Yep. On this page, it's at the top.
Thunder. So, yeah, on the latest report, you call it membership dues dash
No,
VLP.
that's, yeah, I got that.
So that's,
61.
that's where we want that.
Yeah, leave it where it is.
Leave it where it is now.
I don't know how you, yeah, that's good, yeah, I'm not sure how you guys have different.
Well, they're using forms from before.
So when we started the budgeting, I make notes on here as I go. But then I don't wanna, I just don't wanna have notes on 7 different pages, so.
And some of these I have a name for what they were because.
Because we had this
it makes sense to
conversation.
me, or it was, VLCT, so.
You're gonna put that line
So-
under membership.
Yeah, so he already has, see it right here on the new one,
Oh, okay.
membership dues VLCT. So that's good. I think the $3,000 is sufficient. We've already budgeted that.
Yeah.
Water town hall. Can I ask why do we have water on here twice? The park and the town hall. Isn't it,
Water
it's
bill. Yeah,
it's coming out of the same budget. I mean, we're talking. Right. But what I'm saying is,
Well,
again,
Park and we'll put town hall and add town hall and park.
right, where's the,
Isn't the park coming out of BCC?
Oh. Yeah, I see it.
okay, was the part, so do we have to notify the BCC that they're responsible for $180 water bill? Or do we just budget $360 like we have?
We pay the water bill.
So,
We just.
I think we strike the park water bill, bring it down to water and make it $360 instead of $280.
Well, it's interesting because the park doesn't have any money against it. Park water bill is 0.
Right, so it's probably
Give
the
that
whole
some
thing,
thought.
right, probably came out of the BCC.
Where the hell is the park water bill?
It's just above the payroll crap.
Just about payroll, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're on the different one now. No, you're right. Right.
I'm wondering if they paid.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that one is $360.
360 water.
The website, we do have the new website.
So
Mhm.
Tom, just gonna go with water rather than break it out from park and town and you
Yeah,
put
so water all.
water
Just
together.
water.
Those two, yeah, 360, go ahead.
Website, we budgeted 500. We spent significantly more than that, but we did upgrade, buy a new domain.
Yes.
Do we have any ideas as to what the new website does cost us annually?
I don't know where it's hosted out of. You know what the monthly hosting fee is for the website, Wix, WIX?
Could you reach out to, who's in charge? Is it SJ?
That's it.
No, well, no, we'll just leave it under website right now,
We just need-
because I would kind of like to know what that costs us a year.
That's a Sarah Joe
Yeah.
discussion.
If you,
I haven't seen, unless it's under Sinquest or something that I'm not.
So, you've been taking it out of the website. Website's how it's,
Using that website, one's the Sarah Joe rewrite for $1,500 and then one from back in April for like.
I'm saying when we did it, I think we did it for at least a year.
So what was the bill in April?
but that wouldn't be the new website.
Looks like it's credit card bill,
Oh.
maybe it was distributed.
Oh,
So
Oh, I
check with
got-
Sarah Joe.
Yeah,
QuickBooks.
It's
Can you-
simple as that. Check
can
with
you-
Sarah Joe, find out what it's gonna cost us for 2025.
lead cost.
The website.
See what. it's gonna cost us.
Mhm.
see what the annual fee is for upkeep on the website.
Maintenance, and, you know, whatever she has to do to it. If she thinks there's like a yearly cleanup or something.
And I'd have to look up the 239, I'm not sure what that was, that was like an individual entry that was on the credit card that
Yeah.
you just asked about, so.
Yeah.
It was a one-time.
So we have a workers' comp audit.
So that one, and similar last year. Happens when somebody comes in to do a repair, emergency, we'll just hypothetically say you had a hole in the roof. And someone was willing to come in, but didn't want to do any paperwork at that time and provide proof of insurance or anything like that. So the town is on the hook for any of that documentation that doesn't exist from a contractor that we've done. I learned this early in the year, where the state does a whole audit and you send them all 1099s. And then inevitably in 2023, it was about the same amount. Someone that said, just come and fix it, we'll worry about it later. Who didn't get the paperwork that I couldn't provide to them. Then they just go through an audit and they charge you because in theory, if someone doesn't have proof of their own insurance. They're covered under
We're
your
responsible.
insurance, and if you didn't have them on payroll where it's covered, as I understand it. Then you're kind of on the hook for it. So that's where that's coming from, and we did have one instance.
Yeah, with the roof.
Which I
And that was-
But again, it's something like that where someone. You know,
So-
said, yeah, I'll come and fix it, but I don't want you sending me any paperwork,
Yeah, that's exactly
that
right.
type of scenario.
So maybe that's.
So it's an expense we shouldn't have.
You couldn't have. In theory, if everybody, and I say everybody in the whole entire town who may sign someone up to dig a ditch or to do anything. They need to have just proof of insurance that I can send off to the state of Vermont when they're doing this whole audit.
Yeah.
And then they don't charge us for that,
Charge us.
so in theory, that should be zero.
So that's kind of an administrative penalty, if you wanna call
Yeah,
it, you know, then.
Just choose
Right,
to accept that
Right.
because we want that whole roof fixed today.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
right,
that's close to being an actual situation.
Yeah, but that's like. That's legit more than they pay in the whole freaking year.
I know.
Yeah,
I mean, I look back again and I said, no, maybe I screwed something up, which could be true, but it was the same last year, if you look
I
back.
didn't budget.
Last year, it was about $670.
I ain't much, no.
Miscellaneous paperwork wasn't there.
I think the key here is we need to insist that they fill out all the
Right,
paperwork, and whether they're quick or they're the best bid. Doesn't mean that they get the work unless they fill out the appropriate forms and have insurance.
is that
That
in
should
our
be a zero.
policy? I mean, we should have a
policy.
so if that's our policy, we
It
should,
is, just.
The problem is when we run into emergency situations,
Right.
So we-
you know, the fact that our building is, you know,
Oh, I-
200 years old. We run into emergency situations where you don't.
Exceptions, I think, but yes, it should,
Yeah.
everybody does their job, everybody gets the right paperwork.
Josh, I think scratch it.
Oh, I agree, I just,
Consistency,
Yeah.
interest, emergency, if they don't have it, we move to the next person,
I just,
and we put a peak target.
yeah, but the problem is sometimes there's not always another person.
yeah.
I know, listen, who's talking with the snake, Tom started, I dealt with.
Yeah, I know.
That's exactly what happened. And there were two options, and the problem was, the one option was too far out in his schedule. And couldn't get fixed, and we had.
Water
coming through the roof.
Yeah, I agree.
So we had to fix it. So the only thing we can do is just figure if they said $500 to fix the roof, it's costing us $1,163.
No, apparently it looks like it's costing us $8,500.
Yeah.
No,
Wrong line, buddy, it's $633.
673.
yeah, I don't know what you're looking at, $633.
Okay, we've got,
You look at,
Yeah, no.
what's the first comp audit, right, almost gave it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine says
Mine says
$80,073.
Yeah, that's not, it's
I think you ended up.
How the hell can we go from $8,000 to $600?
that's why Josh and I.
But no, it was like 670 last year from stuff probably in
So you budget
2022.
$700 for it, or?
But
Can I ask whether it's $8,000 right then?
Maybe that's the regular workman's comp.
Yeah,
That's the
regular
insurance
workman's
something, I'm not sure if that,
There,
yeah, I'm not sure what your number is, but it's not this audit.
It's not get paid. Unless-
the good news is, Josh, we just saved.
Yeah, Man, I'm so happy right now.
I was gonna say, that's, how the hell did we do
I
that?
mean, no big deal, just pay the actually, I'm like, mother trucker, you must. Because that is not,
It's 633.
well, that's a little bit better than 2072.
Looking at it.
It's still an acceptable expense, it should be zero.
It should be zero except for exceptions where you got, really, the least bad option is to just get the whole thing.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I was trying to, is there a workman's comp, but I don't see.
Yeah, there is, it's right here, it's under this FICA, Medicare, 401k, chair, EVT, unemployment quarter. That right there also covers the workman's comp section,
Workman's comp.
but that didn't go up $8,000.
No,
That may have just been the payment though, Josh.
Yeah, but he's saying, where did the $8,000
Where did it-
go?
Well, some of that's under the, you got the 30,000 line item, the whole property and casualty. Is,
Oh, okay.
cause that BLCT and property and casualty has
Get
a bunch of stuff in that
20,000.
umbrella. It
Yeah.
includes some unemployment insurance.
Okay, so that went up
So
$6,000.
that's likely
So
Where,
now we're 2,000.
where that is, I don't know what the 8,000 is.
I still say we strike the line and put
Yeah,
zero.
yeah, I agree.
I'm agreeing with you. So here's what I'm wondering right now, okay? Is I'm looking at an $8,000 balance. You're looking at a $600 balance, okay? That's fine. I'm great. I'm very happy it's not $8,000. I'm still concerned as to where the $7,400 went.
Well, I don't think the 600 was a part of that. I think what Tom's saying is that's.
Well, that's even worse.
$8,000 is a part of.
So now we're
the
missing
property and
$8,000.
casualty
Yeah.
insurance.
So now you're telling me that somehow there's $8,600 missing.
What I'm saying is Tom's saying that it was the way it was reported. That worker, the workers' comp insurance is up under property and casualty.
What
Okay.
month was that, Joe?
That only
$20,000.
that only accounts for $6,000. We're still short too.
Property and casualty is 20,000.
Yep, and on my page, it's 14,254. That's $6,000.
Yeah, at 8,000.
Yeah, and
So somewhere in November, that got changed because October, we had 8,073 spent.
Yeah.
So something.
And I agree, in the November budget, you have in the property and casualty, you're talking 2396,
Right,
which is fine. In September, I guess is what this one is,
right.
we're 14,254. Okay, that's great, that accounts for $6,000.
Right.
Assuming between September and November, there were no other actual payments that needed to happen,
Right.
we're still missing $2,000.
Right.
Workers,
Oh,
workers' comp audit,
Yes,
$8,073.
thank you, now you're on the same, now we're on the same page.
Now you're on the same page as
Okay.
Josh and I.
Workers' comp.
How about, I realized before this last meeting that I had something in that category that didn't belong. It was like $6,400 that I had put in the wrong place. And I was smart enough before I sent you the report on Monday to do kind of a self audit and try and correct anything that I'd done, because I noticed that didn't look right. So anybody that's using a report from
January to September.
previous to last.
right, previous to the last one,
Yeah.
would have had my faulty entry that was under that workman comp audit, which might be my fault, if you're looking at something.
Okay.
But that-
Not to complicate things, but what's this workers' comp credit? Which is not on the most recent.
Right,
That one also got moved, because I looked back and I saw that I had broken out some of this stuff individually, because these bills come through with all these different entries. But looking back last year, because we're getting to the end of the year, and I tried to make sure that things were as clean from my perspective. I looked back and it looked like Vera had put all of that under just property and casualty, so. The credit, which all of that was just netted out to one number under property and casualty. I had it broken out because I thought it would make more sense to have it, but it's probably more confusing.
what was it, 1, 2,
9,800.
So that's why it disappeared, because it really was all netted out in the property and casualty in previous years.
Yep.
And I had just added that in because I said, someone might need to know that. And
Okay.
you could always find it.
All right.
Is that
if
answer your
you
question?
do all that, 6142 is the difference.
Actually, $633 is the difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's,
So the 630 was what the state charged us.
and
for their
that,
audit.
and that's in the-
You know, they-
so that.
Okay, so just to clarify, what happened, the workers' comp audit was then credited, so the $8,073 was then credited to 1298. That came to 6775, which was then transferred from the workers' comp audit to the property and casualty, which had $14,254. Making that sum $20,396.
Yep.
And if you add the $633, it comes out to the exact amount that is needed. all
So I looked at-
of the accounts can be traced
Mhm.
on here. That's what I was making sure of.
The confusion.
That's okay.
No, it just affected you guys so before. I said,
As,
"This
yeah,
is good, I'm fixing things before you guys.
no, it's just,
But not, just by that much.
there's some things in the town that we just, you know, when we see a $8,000 or $6,000 discrepancy, there's some people in town that definitely go,
There's history.
WTF.
Well, and again, that's why some of these other ones, if I broke
Hey,
meaning well,
you know what?
we need to get rolled back in just so it doesn't
Yep.
confuse anyone.
And you know what? The fact that you were able to explain that to me, I could follow it on the calculator, everything came up golden. We're there, we're good.
So we're striking the
You're
six.
striking,
Workers' comp audit and workers' comp
No.
credit.
the workers' comp audit we're not budgeting for.
Right, we're not putting funny.
The credit's gone already, except on your
Right.
reports, because those all.
So I guess we can, hopefully we don't have that. Strike both of those, the audit and the credit.
The zero on that.
And the credit. Zoning expenses, I do believe that we had asked last year if Brian was willing to make us a zoning budget also. He said that that made sense to him and he would be willing to do it.
So we need
I'm
that.
guessing he probably would have some time to do it.
Yep,
And we can ask him for that. If you could reach out to him, Tammy, and ask him to come up with a zoning expense budget. And just let him know that last year he did have an
$500.
expense, yeah, $500,
and that's not to include payroll.
not to include payroll.
Right.
If he could break out his payroll, that would be great also, but just for us
When you
to look
get
at.
the
Would help us
payroll
with
stuff,
payroll
There's
stuff.
another report that kicks out everybody's payroll by what they are, which you might have used that in the past, but it would show from the payroll, total lister, total select board secretary, all those different breakouts.
That would be useful.
That would be useful, extremely useful, yes.
Again, you might have had it passed, I didn't think to print them out this time, but.
John, Zoom,
So I don't know what the increase will be to Zoom.
250 will be sufficient?
I think 250 is more than.
Excellent, we will leave it as that. That covers, that covers all of that.
Mhm.
Now, Mac did ask about roads. We said this meeting was only going till 8 o'clock, which gives us actually 18 minutes.
To do roads,
The library is doing their own budget.
right,
If you would like, if they would like a copy of this so that they can go through it just like we did.
I'm sure.
And bring us-
Will they have this? The library?
I met with them, they asked if I could come down to their meeting, so.
Excellent.
Monday previous, I met with all their trustees and let them kind of have that meeting. Everybody's
Excellent.
very
So
Gentle and.
I think what I would like then, Tammy, is this is where we might ruffle some feathers. For our first meeting. No,
no,
for our first meeting in January,
yeah,
we need all of the sub
budget.
entities.
We need the listers.
We need the listers, we need the zoning, we need the library, we need the office,
BCC.
we need the BCC,
Planning commission.
planning commission.
Mhm.
We need all the budgets before the end of the year.
Right,
And I assume that you will be able to get with Kathy to, cemetery commission.
Yeah.
They usually give us a number that goes on the
Mhm.
box or on the ballot, but on the box, yeah. If you could get with Kathy and just kind of go over what you will need for any expenses that you have within the.
Most of it's checks and stuff, that
Yeah.
charity is the one that orders them, so
Right.
she probably knows. And I'm not gonna ask for a new computer or anything, this one.
Yeah.
seems to be holding up just
And,
fine.
and QuickBooks is already in here, so you don't have to worry about budgeting for that.
Pretty much, other than making sure we have enough envelopes, but.
One of the things we did want to ask you is right here on this front page where it says the ARPA.
Yep,
Okay, we would like you to change that whole line item to the grant writing fund
yep,
and then transfer this, whatever the balance is that you have here.
they be tallied up.
Yeah, but you did that,
Discussion.
yep.
Yep,
If you could put that in that location
yeah,
and just, that way we can see that at a quick glance.
yeah,
ARPA's been zero for 6 months now, so it's,
Yeah,
it really,
but it'll be sort of an exceptional, most of those are actual bank accounts on there. but
Yep.
You'll know that that's within the.
yeah, there's a couple of them, there's a couple of them that we would really like. Quick looks at,
Like the repair fund.
like the repair fund, the entire repair fund, you know, so that we can just look at it and be like, okay, that's where we stand.
Yeah.
We have $50,000, you know.
Well, exactly. And
Right.
I know you talked that off at 35, told me, early in the year and stuff.
Yeah, well, and yeah, exactly, so,
I know from Monday when I was
Yes.
here that,
Yep.
because that, it's a little bit of a mix, because you made. Because I know you're trying to make decisions on trucks and stuff, but yes, I can put that there, and that is an actual account, it's just.
okay, so if the ARPA account is still an account, that can be closed, because.
Yeah, that's, yeah, the repair fund is, it just didn't have the funds transferred.
Perfect. No, that's fine. We just, there's certain ones that we need to look at a quick glance.
Yeah.
And ARPA obviously hasn't been looked at, but the grant writing fund is one that we need to have on quick.
Yeah.
Quick poll.
I have one other one.
Yes, sir.
From the page we just completed,
Yes.
Tom, can you tell us Lister's mileage?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes, I can tell you,
did we ever move the funds the state sent us back into that column or into that line item? When, for instance, Tammy went down for her trainings and all, this, according to Tammy, the state reimbursed that mileage. Did we take that reimbursement and put it against this
I
fund?
don't know, you know, I'd have to look back, there's some, every now and then the payment will come through with some weird code that is in our account that, I mean, it might be here or it might not be, but I can find out. What, do you know what that might be?
I can show you what the amount should be.
Yeah, I can find it, so I can, because there's.
Yeah. The other thing about Lister's mileage was that we're gonna merge that with just the general mileage.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna strike Lister's mileage, but we want to just see, because the amount is a good amount for the mileage. And we're thinking that that was reimbursed but not noted because it wasn't, you know, known that that's what it was against.
Yeah, unless, I don't know if up top, because this is like a, you know, profit and loss here, I don't know if the lister's income up there, well, that was just the two entries we already talked about.
Yeah.
Which was related to mileage. So yeah, but Tammy, you can tell me tomorrow, and I can look, because I printed out. The state has all those payments they send, they have like a little printout you can do, so I've got a folder of all of them, in case I think I misread one and have to go back and look.
Tammy.
And that one doesn't sound.
You wanna make copies of this, one for you, one for
The line item Lister expense.
Tom? That way he can see what we've struck, what we've adjusted.
$313.
We're gonna have to do
$16
those.
Oh, I'm saying,
Yeah.
we do it tonight.
No.
I just want-
I-
there's only-
We put a limit on that.
There's only.
Biggest one, B&H photo, I don't know what that was.
And I wasn't sure which one.
That was the computer.
And
You know, so.
Um,
That's 1669.
and I think anything that's, I think what we can do with the roads,
That's wrong.
we could say, Max, look over this, see if there's anything you think needs to be increased. If not, then I think it was.
You know what? Repairs coming on, only because.
Because we're thinking.
Well, we
that may
talked
also
about
be something
going up with that
crazy.
because it's more expensive, especially with the deficit.
No, I like that.
When you went for those trainings, the mileage was reimbursed, was the training reimbursed?
Max, okay.
Back in the boys can look at it and be like, oh yeah, no, this was good, this is good.
What we were thinking was that.
I know.
Yeah, so it would be the mileage of the hotel.
Is this the burden, if this is this?
$75 for the Valor conference.
Okay, can you see if
Yeah.
that, so part of that big Lister's expense
And
was the computer that we upgraded because theirs burned out.
Okay,
That was just under 1,700. The rest of it, I'm asking Tom to take a quick peek. We think it was the reimbursements of the hotels and all that for Tammy. And whomever else, and
Yeah.
like Cindy,
which then,
you know, we want to see if that makes up the rest of that.
I
you
think
know,
Pat took the course as well.
okay,
Yeah.
so, while you guys were discussing that, and I know this is why I'm gonna go over it, because it was slightly unprofessional in the meeting setting here. We were discussing down here the roads, obviously, we put a cap on this of 8 o'clock tonight,
Right,
which gives us 10 minutes. I do not see any reason why this could not be handed to Mac and the boys? Give them
Suggestions.
the boys, they can still think, have them go through it and see if there's any spots, like there's no, just looking real quick, like equipment rentals was over budget. We're pretty close on health and, is that, no, health stipends, but well, we shouldn't go over on that because we knew we're
They're gonna be again because of the ditching.
Advertising.
right.
Right,
Advertising. Well, we, according to this, we didn't spend any money on
Well,
it.
I think
but-
it all came out of the general fund.
Right, and the hydro seeder.
Yeah.
Because we needed more seed than we anticipated. And
Work on it, come back with what they think they.
yeah, I don't think it would take them very long to buzz through this as a group and be like, this one should go up 500. They're gonna have a lot better idea than we do.
Right.
no, I agree.
So
Yeah.
Tammy, if you can make a copy of this, Mac actually asked me a couple times tonight if he needed to be here. I said we were gonna go through the general budget first and then we would get on roads. I thought this would go quicker, but so if you can make a couple copies of this, bring it down to them, have them make notes on it that they can give back to us again before the first meeting in January. And we can do the finalized touches on that then, and it shouldn't take us very long, and that should basically wrap up budgeting.
Well, yeah, I think everybody should have their, if we're not gonna meet again this year for the budget,
Yeah,
is what it sounds like, then everybody should have their budget items in by the end of the year. That gives them over 2 weeks. to
Okay,
get it.
perfect. I like that deadline better.
December 31st, we want all their budgets in place so that we can meet and get it done,
I thought he was.
because we're sorry.
we're gonna make our first meeting budget stuff.
And I think that's the other thing.
Well, even if the first meeting, because we did talk about having other visitors there, even if the first meeting can't be budget stuff, if we have to do another Wednesday,
Right,
we could knock this out in an hour.
but I thought, yeah.
Tom, do you know if the library is
That other warrant.
ready with their budget?
I don't know that.
Because they're not gonna have
When you put that together, I don't know how far they're along, because I know it's 2026, as I understand it, is the budget
Correct.
that
Exactly.
they're working on, so I don't know. She asked me a couple questions, and I said, I think Vera had volunteered for time previously where they were willing to pay treasurer, which I didn't know that, but I told her it was fine with with continuing what Vera had done, so they didn't need to put any additional stuff there for the budget. And I think the only question she asked of me was how much, because we're switching bank accounts, and this is really not any extra expense, but we just have new checks. We're just about gonna run out of the current ones, I think.
Excellent.
But she had just asked for that, and the rest of it, I think she pretty much
Okay.
had what you see there, which is this year at least, the totals. And she'd be the one.
Oh, yeah, I'll check with that. I just want to make sure that they're not, because they won't have another meeting between now and
Right.
the end of the month.
Can we bust out just a couple things real quick on this road that Mac wouldn't necessarily?
Sure.
Just a quick question here.
Yep.
Tammy, do you know when we have to have all this done by?
Yes, third week in January.
Yep,
Third week in January. All right, so.
I'm not Tammy, but
I
No,
know.
that's good for me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, our third full week.
it's usually like
January is the week of our meeting.
yeah, we usually are able to have that meeting and finalize everything and give it to Tammy to give to her the next morning to print. That's
The people
typical.
involved in writing the report have asked it to be in earlier.
Yes. So I didn't know if we wanted to meet like Wednesday, January 8th, the week before our meeting to try to get this done in
So our meeting is,
December or
January
January
13th.
13th.
okay. Yeah, I was under the, I guess I missed that.
Yeah,
We
'cause-
could meet the 8th. I don't have any issues with that I can see at this point. Hang on, let me check the actual calendar.
I'm clear,
Hmm,
I'm open. The Wednesday.
I'll still be walking with a cane, so.
I'm going to an office.
I do have a, well,
Good luck
I
on
know,
that.
I know this
Thank you.
is,
That's Friday or that's coming up very.
6 o'clock,
I have a game at 5:30.
what's that?
I have a game at 5:30 on the 8th. Well, I was gonna say, it's literally gonna take an hour if this is all turned in the way we think. Could we do a 7 o'clock meeting?
Or 7:30 if that's better.
Well, I think, the games don't usually take 2 hours, but I think an hour would be sufficient. It is own game.
Okay.
Yep, it's at Vienna, so.
Okay.
Um,
7 PM works for me.
okay. All right, just a couple of things that I wanted to go over real quick.
7 PM.
January 8th at
Yeah.
7 PM. Go ahead.
ATV stickers,
Yeah,
we budgeted $100.
you spent 50 something, right?
We spent 50 something. Should we leave it at 100? We made $700 off it, so I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like $100 is okay. We'll leave that there. Advertising, we spent quite a bit. It's not registered here, but we have 500 in there. There is the chance that we're gonna have to advertise again this year for positions.
Okay.
Do you think 500 is sufficient?
Cover the equipment that we were trying to sell to John? Or did
Um,
that
if
come
we
out of
put-
our general?
No, if we put it in the newspaper, it counts as advertising.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Tammy, how much was it costing us to run a week?
Feel like it's like $70.
For 4 publications? That 2 weeks? 2 weeks is $70. So 500,
500.
so 500 should get us
Yeah.
8 weeks of postings, right?
Right, right,
Okay, so 500 should be sufficient.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. CDL license and training. Now, we did talk about buying a trailer and sending one of the boys to, or the crew to the school for an upgrade.
Nobody's got a class A?
Class A.
Nobody has a class A.
Okay.
So we'll need to send at least one person down to be trained.
Okay.
That I can tell you right now is probably gonna run around $2,500.
Okay.
We have,
We're talking about the all that.
yeah, to haul the excavator or the payloader or the track, basically
Right.
pretty much anything we have except for,
So we just want to put it at 3,000?
that's the CDL license and training.
Yes.
We can,
Put it
and
at how much?
3,000
It's
up from
25
200.
minutes of training alone. Okay. For one person.
What are we putting that up to?
That's CDL licenses and training,
Putting it up to
3,000.
3,000.
And that'll cover it. And if I'm wrong, it would probably cover 2 of them to get that training, which would not be a bad thing. So, clothing allotment, I feel like they can check that. Contracted labor. We had 0, we budgeted 5,000, we didn't spend any. The reason we didn't spend any is,
The roadside mowing.
right,
Use it.
Right.
right. So I mean, we could leave that at 5,000. Or, I mean, if we talk about doing a 3-man crew,
If we rented that. for-
we could move some of that to renting equipment as
Yeah.
opposed to,
Yeah,
We went over by $3,000 on equipment rental.
right,
yeah.
so we should leave that there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just move that amount down.
Why
to
wouldn't we
equipment
move it?
rental.
Yeah.
You could, but then, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because it's all in the same budget.
Right.
That's just how it's broke down.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
foresee us hiring any contractors?
It really depends. I mean,
Oh, wait, well,
We still don't have them on.
do we count the, every time right now we have to move the excavator? Is that?
that is contracted equipment. That should be,
That's
that
good
should
point.
be-
so that should be coming out of there.
Yeah.
So,
Let's do it.
we can ask Mac just to specify that from here on out.
Right.
Culverts and stuff, that's all stuff they'll look at it, ditching, electricity.
Definitely.
The rest of this, I think they would take care of.
Well, the dental vision insurance isn't.
That's all stuff we'd have, but that's not something we budget for. That's just something that they,
We we budgeted 1,500, right?
Right.
and we more than covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we more than covered it.
So we can leave that there.
Yeah. We could leave the same thing then.
Actually, do you see how that's in there, Tom? The dental vision,
We got that road open.
the roads, so the dental vision, employer,
Yeah.
if you could do that same thing where they're all under one headline,
Yeah,
but then it's broke down to the full, you know, like you have it budgeted down below where all of them go into one thing. If you could do that with that payroll stuff we were talking about.
So dental vision is the line.
Yep.
Dental vision insurance, and then underneath it, you did the subcategories of dental insurance and other line vision insurance, dental vision.
No.
That's okay the way it is.
Yes, I like the way that looks. I was wondering if you could do that with on, back on the regular budget, if you could do that in the payroll. VLCT, yeah, yeah, if you could do the payroll
Yeah, exactly.
and then drop down each. Awesome. That would be perfect if we could do that like that. That would make it a lot easier to read.
Same note from earlier then.
Yes,
That's the way-
yeah, I see that there and,
Gotcha.
1,500 is adequate.
I do also, yep. Disability employer,
That's insurance.
should we up that to 5?
I don't know why.
Or is that a single, is that a one thing you pay?
Disability employer, Tom?
Where was that? Is that under the payroll?
It's actually an expense it's the line item under dental vision insurance, disability
Oh,
employer.
sorry.
$250.
We pay like $14 a month for.
Oh, okay,
I think
so-
it's a like
so it's-
insurance policy.
Okay,
Disability insurance.
Yeah.
so the 300, worst case scenario, we could bump that up to 350 and we'd still be able to cover that.
Hey Josh, on the clothing, I would leave it as it is. We're giving them each $500.
Yes,
Clothing.
yeah, I checked that out, sorry, I guess
Something.
Mr.
Strelstone, that's his.
Yeah, that stays, that's on them anyway. So I think the rest of it from there out would be Mac.
Well, we keep the electricity where it's at, right?
Right.
Yeah, we covered that.
Mr. Stone. The old gas rental. Insurance employer. So that's the interesting line.
Which one are you looking at?
Insurance, health insurance employer.
Oh, yeah, there's the 45. Or
Well, that's
20,000,
because
right?
that was, I think that was the tweener when we still had Mark, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So do we fund that? I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen. That's the problem, right?
I think-
Somebody could come back and go, I need health insurance now,
Right,
right?
I
And
think that has to be
I
funded.
think you gotta.
It's just-
I think you
Yeah.
leave it,
I think we'll leave it where it is.
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
okay.
So I'm putting marks next to the ones that equipment repair is a Mac. Excavator expense is a Mac, gas reimbursement max. Gates is kind of max.
Yeah.
Grant aid Northwest, we put 1,000 in there. I think that could probably just stay. That's for a grant
Yeah.
help. Gravel pit expenses, do we still have?
Well, we paid off, I thought the
Yeah.
it's paid off now, right?
So we budgeted 15, we only spent 2.
So here's
Well-
the thing, though, you gotta ask Mac, because didn't he say we may have to go into a new area?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So ask Mac what he thinks should be there.
Okay, guardrails, we budgeted.
Team, though, that's for sure.
Guardrails, we budgeted 5,000, we spent 0. Is that kind of like a bridge repair? Are we gonna add 5,000 to that every year for guardrails? Or
I
do
can
you?
give you an answer on that,
Right.
because you'll know which guardrails are in poor
Break it down.
Yep.
condition.
The health insurance employer you just said was good,
Yeah, the stipend is what we picked up for when they don't take the health insurance.
right?
So we
So that
actually
one's
need to
good.
fund that a little more because you have 3 of them under there, right?
Okay, and we do a 1,200, so it'd be 3,600.
3,600,
Or which one?
right under health
Stipend.
insurance employer, the stipend
Oh, yep,
for them not taking the insurance.
yep.
Do we really need to fund that? Couldn't we just call that under the health insurance and take it out of that amount?
I think so, because
Why
there's a surplus there.
You could, as long as,
We budget for the insurance. If they don't take it, we can just take it out of the insurance budget.
so why don't we change that to health insurance / health stipend?
Yeah. Health insurance slash stipend.
Yep,
Health insurance slash stipend.
Combine them into one.
Just
Yeah.
combine.
can we bump that, just because I'm worried about that, can we bump that up to 25?
Yeah.
If we're gonna move that up there,
Yeah, I agree.
so we'll.
I think you're fine, because if 2 of them decide all of a sudden we're gonna take health insurance because something
Right.
changes with.
Yeah,
Put it up to what?
supplying it,
25,000.
And if someone else is no longer supplying it, you've eaten up that money. So, yeah.
And keep your heating oil the same. You haven't spent what you budgeted.
Yes, well, heating oil North Station
You're
was,
about 4,000 out of 7,500, so,
yep,
right?
we could leave that one. Sorry, the hydro seeder, that's Mac. Insurance claims on equipment,
Josh, I know you're in a hurry to get through this and I'm just, that 7,500, we've only used 50% of it.
We had a warm winter.
Yeah,
So again, as long as we can.
Yeah, we had last year, we had a warm winter.
right.
There were days they had the doors open and it was,
And if
February.
if they had that dollar carbon tax to your fuel, you could jump fuel costs
Yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah.
So,
The hydro seeder, I've got Mac checking that.
Yeah.
Insurance claims on equipment, that's not typical. I don't know what
It's
that's,
offset, like there's a insurance income up top too.
Okay.
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 So it's kind of like they wash.
so I'm just gonna put a check. Can I just strike through that then? That would only be something that's there if we have a claim, correct?
Yes, I would say.
Okay.
It'll show up on a report, of course, in the town report, because we had.
So you're just gonna strike that one out?
I'm just gonna strike that because it's only gonna be a line item if there's a claim.
Hey, can I go backwards to go forwards for a
You
second?
can?
Sorry. Heating North Station.
Yep,
So we spent 2,300 and we spent over 2,000. North Station's the old fire station, right?
correct.
Yes.
That's pretty much only used by the solid waste guys, right?
No, we have to keep that,
No,
we have to
they-
keep that above freezing because the hydro seeder's in there and
Equipment in
there's,
Above freezing is like 50, 40.
correct.
So.
I don't think it's,
It's not.
it's not insulated well.
it's insulated, but it's not that insulated.
It's not.
That heating space.
I
It's
think,
an old furnace.
I think quite honestly. For the, what do you got there? $500 difference, right? Roughly?
Yeah.
For the $500, you could probably get another layer of insulation blown into that attic and
Yeah.
save that
Oh, you're
$500.
probably right.
When the roof I know needs to be replaced. Yeah,
But that door's open all the time, so it's letting any heat out of it
Yeah.
every Saturday. Not that I
You do, you lose a lot on Saturdays. when
I
it's
think,
hot.
but I think the thermostat on that's on the back wall,
It's
isn't it?
on the back. wall,
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been in that building. I didn't realize what grandpa always sent me first when it was bingo night, go turn the thermostat up. That's way back.
I know.
Mulch, that's a Mac question,
Pagers is fixed cost, right?
right? Pages is,
Mileage, they're over on mileage, do we wanna increase that?
I put that in the max category just to see, we were doing a
I
lot.
was using a lot of these personal trucks.
Okay.
Time too, that, I
And-
wondered if that's why it was so high.
Yeah,
Hauling the cedar. I mean,
But the right.
Yeah, work, but hauling. the
that's
cedar.
where I think that 550 could come in pretty handy. I mean, that,
No,
to $2,000 a year is ridiculous, but,
yeah,
the pager, Tammy, can you look up the pager expense? We budgeted 6.25, we spent 615. I mean, we could probably go up to 650 and be okay.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think the pager said.
All right, let's
That's what I
just,
would do. I can't believe.
sorry, I wasn't really planning on going this far through it. But-
that's fine.
Once again, if you can do okay, 808, we'll go to 810. If you can do the same thing with the payroll here, yep,
Yeah.
which you did already, actually. We budgeted 15,300 for that. We've spent 12,900. So I think we're probably okay there. we're not-
15.3 again?
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we'll stop there.
Wages, that's what- We don't know on that one till we figure out if we're gonna have. the-
We haven't done the wages yet,
Part-time person.
right? Radio license is a fixed cost,
Most of that's.
repairs.
Streetlights again.
They're everywhere.
There
Did
you
we
go.
go did we go over on anything here?
That's a town garage.
Shop expenses.
Shop expenses.
So he needs to look at that one and tell us why we're,
Tom, the Fidium bill for the town garage.
Oh, I know why.
Fidium internet, what are you billing that under?
all right,
Batteries and-
Where's that categorized under?
and saws and, yep,
That's why they never see a bill except for
Yep.
the.
Otherwise, they
It's
would-
been here, right?
It would be consolidated
I don't-
communications, maybe?
Show that on insurance, Johnson.
Are you putting that under telephone?
I think there was a police report. Yeah, Tammy,
What they see deducted.
can you make copies of this for
Consolidated,
Mac, Brian, and so, and when you talk to him, the one with the hash marks, and we only got to like the payroll section. So the ones with the hash marks up here, and then everything from payroll down and around the back, if they could just give their input on.
maybe it has something broken out in there that's a line item.
Thank you.
So for the meeting on the
They
eighth.
used to get it right.
15,000 for the North Station
Payroll.
repairs, we can do that, remember we talked
So it
about.
could be this line item that I just didn't know was there.
So that's why I just have her, I said, I made her put an arrow from payroll down to have
Was
an
that
accurate
like
pickup.
previously?
No, we just added it. That's why we're trying to add it. Well, I don't know if it's lumped into the telephone expense, which would
I'm
explain
guessing,
why we're
I'm
over.
guessing consolidated as telephone,
Yeah,
but I could probably look and break it out
which,
if,
yeah.
if indeed it shows.
Right,
I didn't like that one.
I think the water's
You ready
gonna
to
stay
go?
the same, Josh,
Are you
right?
done? What's that?
Water's gonna stay the same, right?
That's, Mac would know that, he's head of the water department.
He's gonna raise his own water bill?
He could,
Okay.
this is what I just did with that one, I just gave that to Tammy. Had her draw a line and put an arrow down, I'm gonna have them check everything I put a line next to and everything from that point down. There wasn't that many more. Those guys can handle that. She's making the copies.
I know, Josh.
So-
John?
Library, I haven't signed that yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I knew one was missed, you can.
Yes,
Is it time to get emotional?
it is emotional time.
Make a motion that we, call meeting for this evening?
I'll second that.
You'll third it.
I'll third it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Wow, say it.
Them on the